doing an eating video here today. I've got some seafood salad sandwiches. I have these on everything bagels. I wanted to get plain bagels, but they didn't have plain, so I went with the everything ones, and I obviously had gotten some seafood salad, so with some brisk iced tea. And I'm also going to be doing a championship round NFL recap. Figured I'd throw it in with this video. This is going to be a little messy because this is going to be dropping shit all over the place. I'm going to take the vacuum in here. I brought the fork up to scoop up anything else that falls out of these things. Okay. So the early game, the Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl in a low-scoring game. They beat the Ravens 17-10. This game was 7-7 early. I think the Chiefs went up 7-0, and then the Ravens tied it. But Mahomes has a nice little game. The star of this game was the KC defense. Probably the star of the weekend. In truth, Mahomes has a nice game. 241 and a touchdown, no picks. He's sacked twice. Running back gets a TD, 68 yards. Kelsey rips it up, 116 yards and a touchdown. They do not have any turnovers. They sack Jackson 4 times. So the D got 2 turnovers as well. So actually 3. I think it was 3. It wasn't 3, it was 1. No, it was 3 turnovers, sorry. There's 2 fumbles and a pick. Jackson has 272, a touchdown, a pick. And that touchdown came in the first quarter. They don't run the ball that well. Jackson has 54 of the rushing yards. Flowers has 115 yards and a TD. But he loses a fumble. And I think he lost his fumble when they were like inside the KC5 or some shit. I could be wrong. Jackson lost a fumble as well. So, this is a probably the Chiefs' most impressive run, in my opinion, because they had to go on the road twice. Now, they got the Bills, who they own clearly at this point. The Bills can't beat them in the playoffs, right? So they took advantage of them, but it wasn't Buffalo. And they beat the top-seeded Ravens, who I said that KCD shut it down. Now, the Ravens get to hear all about how they can't get it done. Okay. So they're back for the 4th time in 6 years. late game, the Niners beat the Lions 34-31. Everybody's going to know this game, how it went down. The Lions were down what? Niners were down what? 17 to half. It's 24-7. And then they stormed back. They tied it by the end of the third, and then they kept scoring, actually. They went on a 27 point unanswered run. Now, there was a point where I think they were 24-10, the Lions, and they decided to go for it when they could have kicked the field goal. This is something NFL coaches have a hard on for doing, right? You saw it the week before against the 49ers where the Packers did the same thing, right? And funny enough, both games came down to 3 points, right? Right? Did that? They beat the Packers by 3, right? Goff has a TD, 273 yards, no picks. They run the ball great. They had 3 rushing TDs from 3 different people. They have 182 yards rushing, 93 for Montgomery, 45 for Gibbs, and 1 rush for Jameson for 42 yards, which was a TD. Laporta has 97 yards receiving. St. Brown has 87. Williams has the receiving TD as well. So, nice little game for him. Gibbs lost a fumble. That was the only turnover. They did get 2 sacks, and they also got a pick themselves. But they were up big, and like I said, these coaches just, it's what they do, right? And of course, they don't regret the decision afterwards. They never do. Because that's how coaches think. Like, their thought process is the right thought process. And when it doesn't work out, oh, no regrets. But listen, you could have taken the points. You could have went up 27-10. And maybe that game goes to overtime. You know, maybe it plays out differently, but it ends up probably going to overtime. That's what they say. These coaches like to get cute in these games. You know, they think they're like ahead of the curve. You know, they're 2 steps ahead, and it doesn't work out, and they lose by the 3 points. You know. But the Niners went nuts in the second half. Purdy 267, a touchdown, a pick. McCaffrey has 90 yards rushing and 2 TDs. They had 155 as a team. Purdy had 48 as well. Deebo Samuel has 89 receiving yards on 8 catches. Ayuk, I think somebody told me this guy's name, and I forgot how to say it. Ayuk. He had a touchdown, 68 yards receiving. They only had the pick. They sacked Goff twice. You know, and this is... I'll say this. The Lions have never been to a Super Bowl. I know they've won NFL championships before. AFC and NFC both merged or whatever. Take the points because you've never been to one. But that's they almost get like to the point where they're like, you know, or maybe he was thinking, I want to slow down this momentum, even though it was only a field goal. You know, they only got a field goal. At that point, it's only 24-10. You get the points, you're matching field. You know, I don't know. I don't get it. It stages the game. Like the Packers one made a little more sense. It was the first quarter. And they might have been trying to go for this. I lost the cat. They're probably trying to go for it early, you know, get him, try to put him down early. But this one, in the third quarter, so Niners are back, rematch of the Super Bowl against KC. Then the 49ers blow a lead in that Super Bowl. Weren't they like doing really well? And then the Chiefs just kind of came back, storming back, right? Weren't they up 10 or something? I have to see that. But they are meeting twice, so you need to see a nice. Of course, it's got to go to the one now, of course. But okay, here we go. 31-20. Yeah, they ripped it up in the fourth quarter, the Chiefs, because I'm pretty sure they would have. Yeah, they would have been down. They were down 20-10 going into the fourth. Not necessarily a massive lead blown, but they got destroyed clearly in the fourth quarter. But who was the quarterback for the Niners? Was it Garoppolo? Who was it? Let me see. Yeah, it was. The Niners are trying to they're trying to get Super Bowl 6 here for their franchise. They're on a two Super Bowl losing streak. Actually, even if the Ravens went against the Niners, that would have been a rematch too. Even though those teams are completely different. There's probably some guys still left on the Niners, right? But from that team, so they're trying to get that number 6, right? They got 5, right? And the Chiefs are trying to get number 4. They had that first one back in the day with Len Dawson. It should be a good game. I don't know who's going to win. Honestly, same thing as I'm not predicting anything, just like the championship rounds. But, you know, Mahomes and the Chiefs could end up. Actually, it's something funny, you know, that people do this stuff. They're like, it's going to be scripted, and after the game, Kelsey's going to propose on the 50-yard line to Swift. I'm like, what? And then they're going to, like, endorse the president or some crap. Like, I was like, what? I was like, sure. It should be a solid game, though. It should be. I mean, they were the number 1 seed, the 49ers, and the Chiefs, obviously, you know, they weren't the 1 seed, but were they the who did they play first? Oh, the Dolphins. The Bills were 2, Ravens were 1. They were the 3 seed. The 4th seed would have been the Texans, right? But it's the same thing like the Patriots back, you know, although the Patriots typically... No, the Patriots had to go on the road too a bunch. can't count them out, right? Because they have the experience and they've been there. Type thing. Those teams are hard to take down, you know. I mean, even with like, well, it was different in the '80s when the Niners were winning because the NFC was so dominant. It's like the Giants were incredible, the Redskins, you know, the Bears had their awesome year, and they had some other good years. And the Niners, they'd always be playing like they were always knocking each other off in the playoffs. Like it was crazy, like just battles of the Titans, as they say, right? And then the AFC would come in and lose, and most of the time get annihilated, and it was usually Denver getting destroyed. The Bears beat up on the Patriots as well, and there was some close ones. And actually, I don't know. I think the Redskins won in what, 87 and like 83 or something, and then they won the one in the 90s, 91 season. But we'll see if the Niners get 6 or the Chiefs get number 4. We'll see. I will say this, though. If the Chiefs win, it'll be another title for the AFC West. Because right now, the Chiefs got 3, Denver's got 3-6, the Raiders got 3. So they have to actually want to break that tie as well. Between the other teams, and the Chargers don't have any. So that's 9 Super Bowls. So they had number 10. I used to be like, back in the day, I think I talked about this. I don't know why I'm going to continue on with this, but it was always the Raiders. I hated the Raiders. Like, that was the thing. Like, the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Seahawks back when the Seahawks were in the AFC West. The Seahawks didn't bother me. The Chargers started to bother me more when they got Tomlinson and what's his name, Rivers and Gates, like, because they were just so good. And it was just like every time you give the ball to Tomlinson inside the 10, it was a touchdown. I'd probably be more upset with the Chiefs. I mean, Denver broke that streak. It was like 100 games in a row they lost the Chiefs. I think I would have been more mad if the Denver was actually good and they were competing and they couldn't get past the Chiefs. Similar like the Bills, right? That's more frustrating. You can't get past them. The players like, well, Denver's garbage, so who cares? When Denver starts to actually get better finally and can compete with the Chiefs and start losing, it won't matter more. But I know, even back, because they played each other in a championship game in the Denver's first Super Bowl. No, not the championship game. It was the divisional round. Denver had beaten them in the divisional round, then they beat the Steelers in the championship game, and then the Packers. I still didn't like. There was never like a hatred with the Chiefs or the Chargers or the Seahawks back when they were there. As the Raiders was always like, they were always the team. I was like, they got to be there. Now I just obviously don't care. Even during when Denver was good with Peyton and even the Plummer years, they were a solid team. And obviously in the 90s with Elway, the tail end of the 90s, I should say, the later 90s, the Raiders still pissed me off, and the Chargers were getting there, but the Chiefs, I don't know, there's like no, even when they were both good and playing each other, I wasn't, like, I don't know, for some reason the Chiefs didn't bother me, and the Chargers rarely did, except outside of a couple of years with Tomlinson, and then I just was like, whatever. Because that division's all over the place. Like, the Chargers won it a bunch of times in a row. Then Denver, I think, won it 5 times in a row. Now the Chiefs have won it, 6 times in a row? Or maybe more. Has it been 7, actually? I don't know. So it's like somebody just wins the division constantly for a bit, and then it's going to switch, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs will be out, and then all of a sudden now, who knows, the Chargers will get back in there or something. It's always been a kind of interesting division, except there's a couple of years where 8-8 won the division. Their division sucked for a couple of years. But it should be a good Super Bowl. I think it's like Giants and Cowboys hate each other. Giants, I think that division's more like, I don't know how the divisions go. I'm going because I'm in New York, so I know Giant fans and Jet fans, and Jets kind of hate the Patriots. I don't know if they necessarily hate the Bills that much. The Dolphins, there's some hate for. I've seen the Bills not as much, and the Patriots isn't there as much. But I mean, once again, that was like it's insane to think about that Patriots team and how many divisions they won over a span of so much time. But yeah, it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I think it will be a tight one. We'll say the winner wins by 4 points. And then the crowd charges the field. No, it's going to be a 4-point win for whoever wins. And then a UFO is going to lift. 2 UFOs are going to come. Massive UFOs are going to lift the stadium and go into space. It's funny though, the Niners have quietly been the kind of team in the NFC. They've gone to 2 Super Bowls in the past, 5 years? Or 4. They went to the championship last year, but they had literally no quarterbacks, right? So they've been pretty dominant in their conference. Not to the level of what the Chiefs have done, but they're the team that's kind of head and shoulders, I guess, right now. Until the Chiefs get knocked off consistently, it's not even about them missing the playoffs. They have to kind of lose before the championship round in a couple years in a row for them to be like, okay, they're kind of knocked off. Or it becomes a Patriots thing. And the crazy thing is, this is their 4th Super Bowl in 6 years, which is impressive. I think when Brady was 3, Brady won his first 3, and they were all with him, 4 years, and then they tailed. They didn't win any for what? Because the Giants one was, the first Giants one was 07, right? The 07 season, it was 8 Super Bowl. Was that what it was? So they would have went 01, 3, 4. So they went to 4 in 7 years. So they have a little bit better of a pace. And they can both be 3 and 1. Geez, obviously could be 2 and 2 if they lose. And then they lost in 07, and then 8, 9, 10 they didn't make it. 11 they make it again and lose the Giants again. That's got to sting for the Pats fans. Whenever because if they beat them once, you can be like, we got them once, won them one, but they lost 2 tight games with crazy fucking plays. Not that it really affects anything. They still have 6 Super Bowls. And then they went back on a really dominant stretch. Didn't they make 7 championship games in a row, right? 12 they did. 11 they would have. 12, 13, because they lost to Denver. 14, 15 they lost to Denver again. So there was 5, 16 is when they had that massive comeback against the Falcons, right? 16. Right, 16 was the Falcons Super Bowl, or was it not? When did they play the Rams? Was that the 18 season? Did they make 8 in a row? I don't even know. The Patriots were just doing everything. And I didn't, this is another thing. I never cared. The Patriots-Bronco thing, especially at first, Denver beat Brady all the time. In the first, we'll say the first 6 or 7 years, it was great. Plummer was beating them. Greasy, in the playoffs. They beat him 3 out of the 4 times in the playoffs. And those 3 games are in Denver. The one blowout was when Tebow was the quarterback. In the divisional round, they busted him up by 40 or some 30 something, which was kind of expected. They had that big win against Pittsburgh, Denver, the first week in OT. But I never, and then even when the Patriots turned it around and started beating Denver, I think they're 500 against Brady. I think it's 9-9 if you include the playoffs. They're 3-1 against the playoffs, but they actually probably have a losing record in the regular season because he started to beat him, and then I'm counting. And I won't count when he was on Tampa because they did beat Denver once when he was on Tampa. I won't count. I'll just count when he was on the Patriots because the Patriots, with him, they had beaten him. When was the last time they would have beaten him? They beat him twice in the Super Bowl year when they beat the Panthers because Osweiler was the quarterback. I think they beat him OT. They lost the game when Peyton was the quarterback in OT when they were up big and they lost. But Brady kind of beat, except in the playoffs, obviously. He was 3-2 against Brady in the playoffs. No, was he? No, he beat him once. Maybe it was 3-3 against him in the playoffs. He was 3-1 against him in the AFC Championship. Anyway, I don't know why I'm still rambling about football, but yeah, that's just eating some seafood salad sandwiches and the recap of the championship round. And Should be a good Super Bowl. I don't even know if I'm watching it, honestly. But I don't think I watch late. I follow the thing on like the Gamecast or something. Unless I go somewhere at a friend's house or something, I'm not going to watch it here. But yeah, thanks for